What's up, everybody? I'm Duke James. This is Vietnam 3.0. I think this is a good point to cap this campaign off. It's 1766. I believe I've done a good job doing what I wanted to set out to do. Added a couple stretch goals, taking Borneo and the Philippines, grabbed those two, went tall, fought China. Couldn't stop them from uniting, but we're able to take them on. Not able to actually siege them down, but I probably won't have the manpower to do that because I did go semi-tall. So I just don't have the manpower or siege speed to really take down their provinces, so I can defeat them, just not fully siege them, which fully sieging them probably isn't really that worthwhile anyway, because their entire country, their industry and population is over here, and I've, and several times in the past, sieged that area down. Out here, there's really not that much. But I've hit the good bits. And then really I just want to move on to the next alpha version, which is 1.3. So I want to go ahead and go over some of the provinces. Look at the census. Everybody loves censuses. Let's look at this. I added a stretch goal of about 30 million people. We have about 24 million peasants right now, so I think 6 million, 50 years, we definitely probably would have hit that, I imagine. We're growing at about 160,000. So every 10 years, that's 1.6 million minus the loss to the cities, but that is definitely doable. So I think we're on track for that. And then there were 6.7 million residents, so to get to 10 million, that's 3.3 million. This one is less, I'd be less certain saying that we could get to 10 million, but we are growing 65,000. Potentially, if not 10 million, probably 9 million, I imagine. The problem with that is it's really annoying because you have to constantly look in your provinces and determine which provinces have residents up to the soft residence cap, and then you have to build those up, and then sometimes, because of the way infrastructure works, those buildings might decay, and you can't stop that unless you overinvest in that province, because you can't invest up to the point where the buildings don't decay anymore, so that's a little bit annoying. So really it would just be a lot of micromanagement on my end off screen, which 60 years is actually a long time to go, so I figure I'll just cap it here and then move on. In terms of industry, we produced about 9 million food, demanded 7.8. So we're actually pretty good there. Salt, not so good, but we don't have, since we're tall, we don't have salt mines or more oceans to get salt from. Fiber has a huge deficit because of the high urban industries. Using that fiber fuel's good. Raw materials, doing some building, so that's why that's negative. Exotic goods, 190 out of 362. Demanded. That's not so great. Consumer goods, huge consumer good surplus of about 600-ish. Military goods surplus, huge naval surplus of almost 700. Huge industrial surplus and a pretty good luxury surplus as well, and knowledge as well. So we definitely have urban production powerhouses in our country. And the rural industries aren't doing too bad either. Here is the total population map mode for our country. So we started the game with a little bit of a heartland up here. We end the campaign with that heartland up there, heartland down here. Not a whole lot down here in Borneo or the Philippines. Luzon, pretty decent in terms of population. I didn't have these provinces for that long, so... Plus, that's also comparing these provinces to these provinces, and our capital has a lot of people in it. Our capital has 128 development. It's 44 rural development, 61 urban development, 23 upper class development. It has level 3 capital, level 7 amenities, level 1 garrisons, level 2 pathing, irrigation rank 6, but I was building rank... irrigation rank 5, but I was building rank 6, which would take a long time to build, 110 units, and then a harborage rank 7. It is an important center of learning, an important center of trade, a major center of production. It has 1.8 million peasants living in it, and 1.076 residents, 1,076,000 residents. And some nobles, burghers, and clergy, but who cares about them? Let's see, anything interesting in these map modes. There's 212 units of labor supply. That seems really massive. The industrial district had a profit of 234. I noticed towards the end of the campaign, the profit of the cities kind of dropped off. I have to imagine it's because they started producing a lot, so the prices dropped. Something like that. There's about 460 ducats from farmlands. The biggest industry in our capital was Chinaware with 1,139 units. That made an income of 2,000 ducats and spent 1,141, so about 900 ducats there. What is the negative? Ship. Okay, ship has negative 55% profitability. Processed materials is negative 28%. Seems like the ship industry is dragging this province down. Naval goods. Let's see if I can find this. Naval, where are you? Price is 3.78, negative 0.027. Imagine that's cheaper than most other provinces. Naval, 3.78. Oh yeah, the price in Barcelona is 6.6 ducats, so it's almost half, just because we produce so much. So that's a point where, since I don't have merchants going to Europe, can't take advantage of making more goods, which was something I did on purpose. It's a little bit better in China's capital, 4.6 ducats. So yeah, producing a lot of ship industry made it negative. That's our capital. This province. Is that our most, that's our highest development province right there. Thai. This province has irrigation, or amenities rank 7, irrigation rank 4, pathing rank 4, garrisons rank 4, harborage rank 2. 2 million peasants, 1.2 million residents. Its industries are kind of split amongst all of those. Its industry... Its farmlands makes about 600 ducats. Its industrial district makes about 300. They were like 800 to 1,000 ducats, probably, before I picked industrial ideas, so it's definitely oversupply that hurt that. This province also has a major center of learning, and an important center of trade, major center of production, largest regional city. These two provinces have irrigation rank 4 and 4. Could be... This province makes 550 ducats from food, and this province makes 450 ducats. So these 4 provinces are a heartland for food, producing a lot of it. This province is 1.4, close to 1.5 million peasants, and this province has 1.7 million peasants. Nothing else, just farm heartlands with a lot of peasants. And 48 and 46 development. This province, 128 development, so tied with our capital for development. This province has 1.88 million residents, so 1,880,000 residents. Close to 500,000 peasants. Yeah, this province makes 100 ducats from its industry. I've also put in a couple hundred ducat investments into these provinces, so that's probably also causing that to drop. This province has 1,000 ship size at negative 44% profitability. One problem with investing in urban industries is you can't choose where to invest. If you put money into a province, you can't choose to do silk versus ships, so that is a problem. Because now we produce a massive amount of naval materials, but so much that we sunk the price, and it's making our industries, at least those industries, negative. This province is a dominant center of trade, major center of learning, dominant center of production, and it is the largest city in the world, beating out any Chinese province, mostly because we beat up the Chinese provinces. Alright, Saigon has 1.5 million peasants, about 300,000 residents. Dominant center of production, major center of learning. 79 development. Long Ho has 81. Major center of learning, dominant center of production, dominant center of trade. About 334,000 residents, more than 1 million peasants. This province has 845,000 peasants. Important center of trade, production, major center of learning. Wait, that's minor, isn't it? Minor center of learning. This province that I've been trying to build up the forest industries has about 780,000 peasants. So I think this province starts with around 20,000 peasants, if not less. So we took this province from 20,000 peasants to close to 800,000 peasants. And the forestry industry is only half the total size that it could be, and it is positive 17 ducats. Seems not worthwhile. But oh well. Luzon we conquered not too long ago. It has a capital rank 1, amenities rank 4. Irrigation rank 2, harborage rank 7. Largest city on the subcontinent, major center of learning. Dominant center of production and trade. There's only 165,000 residents, 1.3 million peasants. It's industrial industry. Makes 250 ducats. It doesn't have a whole lot of that, but it makes a decent amount of money. This province also has amenities rank 7. Harborage rank 7. This one has 5, this one has 4 amenities, and a capital. Here is the religion map mode. I was never going to convert these provinces, but these provinces, I managed to convert everything except these 4. I've been working on converting 2 provinces, but it didn't happen yet. Eventually it would. Here's the culture map mode. Our primary culture is kin. I believe at the start of the campaign, just like these provinces was this culture, so we managed to convert all of these coming down here to here. I made Chimer an accepted culture because I was hoping that it would make these convert, but it didn't actually work out that way. So I didn't actually take Chimer off from being an accepted culture until pretty late, so I think that slowed down these provinces. These 2 are at about 60% culture conversion. This one is not converting at all, so these would eventually convert. Maybe this one wouldn't be converted. And then I can't culture convert any of these provinces because they have to border a province that is your culture, so sea tiles do not count for that, unfortunately. Just a general note, if I continued this, I think I would be able to go about like 5 years a day. So to go to 1800, that would be like a week and a half, and I'd rather just move on to the next campaign at this point. I think most people would be okay with that, hopefully. Let's see. Made about 90 ducats at the end. I could constantly beat up Ming and get ducats from them as well, war-ups, transfer trades, so I'd probably get that up to about 200 ducats-ish. We made 92 ducats from trade, which isn't that much, but I was hampered from not going wide, which I did on purpose. Purposely handcuffed myself. Tech penalty, we were, these are some pretty cheap techs, 133. We were ahead of time on all of them. And Miltech, yeah, I'll just grab the next Miltech, sure. Miltech 49, plus 240%. We had scientific methods, negative 5%, military science, negative 15%, ideas, negative 24.5%, meritocracy, negative 30%, centralization, negative 16%. Meanwhile, only corruption increase over time, we're increasing our tech costs. So we have some really cheap techs right now, like this is... Yeah, I'll grab that, sure. These are the ideas. I went over these in another part. In case you didn't see that, here they are. I'm not going to list them off or anything. Missions, we had no missions, which was kind of unfortunate, but I probably would have ignored them anyway. Because I highly doubt... There were probably some missions for conquering the Philippines and Borneo, but I imagine most of the missions would have been for conquering this area in China, which I did not do, so we wouldn't have really done any of those. I did get staff corps, yearly armored professionalism 1.5%, guard units 2.5%. That screen, religion. I really hope religion comes into the game soon, because got some religion-themed campaigns I want to do. Also, it's nice taking church property. That's always fun. You can get thousands of ducats from the church doing that. That's one of my go-to ways to make some cash. Here's the diplomatic screen. So I had these guys as a vassal, Lan Na as a vassal, and then Ayutthaya and Luang Prabang as tributaries. I had a couple other tributaries that Ayutthaya ate, so... And also Malacca as a tributary. So that is the subjects. In terms of the estates, 91% state reach. Yeah, state reach was 91%, taking up about half a percentage every year. Corruption right now is about 20%, so that's actually pretty low. It's a far cry from the 80 corruption that we had in, what, the 1500s? Land, I was giving away some land and property. We end up with 38% of the academic property, 10.5% of the industrial property, pretty much none of the commercial property, which from now on, campaigns moving forward, I'm not going to do anything with commerce property. I'm not going to take it. Burghers can keep it. They can have it. It's theirs. I do not want to deal with the negatives, the negative income. Which I actually did see a company had negative revenue. Some, I think it was like Plug Power. They made batteries or something. They sold batteries to Amazon, and then they gave them warrants for their stock. So when they gave those warrants, their stock was like $2, and their stock went up to like $24. So Amazon actually exercised the warrants, and they made a lot of money from the stock. So it ended up showing as negative revenue on their balance sheet. So I just thought that was interesting. It's very specific instances like that that cause revenue to go negative. But it seems to happen in Meiou and Taxes a lot. It's not negative right now, it's positive in this province, 17 ducats income. It's negative overall, but the income is positive, so... Anyway. The burghers had 30% power. I think my voice cracked there. About 2,600 ducats of income. They had 67% of the commerce property, which means other estates have commerce property. I think the residents and the nobles have a little bit of commerce property. 12.5% the industrial property, which means the burghers only have 12.5% of the industrial property. I think the residents have at least half of that. I think the residents and the peasants have half of a lot of things. I think the peasants have more than half of the farmland as well, so that's good. The clans died and then came back, and then they're probably gonna eventually die. Anyway, they can't have land, and I mentioned getting rid of the clergy. I don't think it's really possible, because the lower they get, the harder it becomes to get rid of them. So the clergy aren't supposed to disappear. So even though I did something that decreased their power by like 50%, 0.5% per year, but it wasn't actually doing that because their power was so low. It was like bouncing off the floor to try and get them to not disappear. So they're still around. The nobility have 40% power, decreasing by 0.45% per year. They have 33% of the forests, 16% farmland, 15% mines, 13% fisheries, 13% industrial. So the nobility actually have more industrial property than the burghers, which I think is funny. That is the estates. Alright, here is the whole world. So the Holy Roman Empire formed in Europe, Scandinavia formed, Commonwealth formed and actually survived. Spain did not form, which is funny. Tlemcen survived. Egypt formed. Mali survived. India is pretty much a mess. Russia was formed, but they didn't really expand all that much. Here is the New World. Let's not look at the New World. It's just somebody spilled some paint all over a map, and that's how they decided those borders. Here's the population of the world. I mentioned this a little bit ago. The most populous provinces are not in China, not in my country. They're actually in the New World. So this province right here has 5 million peasants living in it. It's growing at 60,000 peasants per year. I almost think there's something wrong with this province. There's no way there should be 5 million peasants living in this province. There's definitely some kind of a glitch going on here, because only 4,500 people are migrating out. But that is the most populous country in the world, most populous province in the world. This one, which is pretty close to it, has 3.4 million peasants living in it. This one has 3.7 million. These have 3.6 million and 3.2 million. Mexico City, I believe that province is, has 4.8 million people living in it. I don't know if it's just because I didn't look over here, but I don't remember those provinces having that many people in them. Unless something happened where plagues didn't happen, so they really didn't lose people. Which is possible. Definitely possible that didn't happen, because I know there's a lot of plagues in China, which would explain why China doesn't have that many people. Which makes sense since we were destroying them every 10 years, so... I think that explains that. Europe's actually pretty shitty. London has 156,000 people in it. Paris has 314,000, so practically nothing. Italy, it just looks horrible. 300,000 people living in Naples. 133,000 people living in Rome. 127,000 residents in Prague. The Turkish Empire was actually pretty weak. They lost some territory to Greece, and then Greece lost territory to Naples. They have rebels sieging down Constantinople. Constantinople has 32 developments, 27,000 residents in Constantinople, 135,000 peasants. I don't think there were less than 30,000 people living in Constantinople during the Latin Empire. And that was its low point in its history. So the Turkish Empire really has a low point. And that's their capital too. I would kind of expect that if that wasn't their capital, but that's their capital and it's pretty shitty. Alright, I think that's it for this campaign then. So I want to thank you guys for following along. And I'll see you guys in the next campaign. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.